Welcome again to the SYLBOURNE Show. I'm your host, SYLBOURNE Sydial, and today we've got a very interesting and motivational person. His name is Warren Ryan. Before we go any further though, I want you to take a look at this quick video. Thank you.
So I start my day at 5 a.m. Then I'm writing my goals down. I'm finding business opportunities. When I'm finished on that, I'm straight onto networking sites, spreading my knowledge and inspiring people. Then I head out. I just start running. This is when I defeat the small voice in my head. The voice that tells me to give up. But I soldier on. I defeat my demons.
Good, you have seen the video of Warren Ryan. As I said before, he's a motivational speaker, health and fitness guru, and as well, he's a self-made entrepreneur. Warren, welcome to the show.
Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that.
Sorry,
you go ahead.
I was just saying, it's a privilege to be on your show, so
yeah.
I'm just quite happy to be here.
Well, I'm actually privileged having you here because, you know, I actually saw your videos a couple of times. Actually, I never heard about it before in my life, you know. But actually, I realized you're a young chap, so that makes sense. I've not heard about you.
Definitely,
you know?
do you know? Yeah.
But what is very interesting, though, when I looked at the video was, before I go any further, what is a mind coach?
A mind coach,
yes.
Do you know? See, a lot of people know me as a motivational speaker.
Yes, yes.
But through what I kind of teach is how to recondition your mindset so that you can live life on your terms.
Yes.
And I believe a lot of people are imprisoned in their minds.
Yes.
So I've kind of put consistent work into developing a method into giving you that control to say, do you know what? I need to change my life, so I'm going to change track. And I think a lot of people, they keep on doing the same things because they don't understand how their mind works.
Right. That's very interesting because at times we talk about different type of coaches, and I think in one of our previous interviews also someone that spoke about the thinking mind, which is very important. Warren, from what I know of the story of your childhood and understanding a bit, and the instability, it wasn't a positive upbringing, because I'm just looking at my notes here, and but can you take us a bit through that journey from that negative upbringing to the positive person that we are seeing now before us?
Yeah. Do you know, so I grew up on a council estate.
Yes.
Like a lot of people do. My mum had me at 17 years old, so as a child, I witnessed things a child shouldn't see.
Yes.
And a big part of my childhood was that love was absent in my life, and that was something that I craved for.
Yes.
So going into care, and I kind of like went from several different family homes and never experienced kind of like that, just like, do you know, Christmas times, for instance, like when it's your family and you just feel like, yep, that's my family. And I never felt that. Yeah. So it was something when I was young, I was 13, and I decided there and then when I was 13 years old that I was going to give a life to my children that I never had. Yes. And that was a burning desire. And at the time, I believed that the only way you can get out of a council estate or the situation I was currently in was to make it as a footballer. Okay. Because I believe you could be black, white, rich, poor, if you were good enough.
Is that a bit similar like Rio Ferdinand?
Yeah.
Council estate, something like that,
yeah. So literally, that was my escape plan. From a young age, that was to train, make it professional. And not only kind of, it's weird because I found God quite young as well. Yeah. And when I was young, I said to God, please don't let me be a number in this world. Yeah. Let my life mean something. Right. Let me have an impact on lives. But at the time, I was going to make it as a professional footballer, and that was going to bring a lot of income, and I was going to build schools in Africa, and that was how I was going to sort of touch other lives. So growing up, the amazing thing was that my mum was in a place where she was on heroin and crack cocaine, and there was more. She was more likely to go down the path of like dying than there was recovering and getting clean. Yes. And when I was on my 14th birthday, my mum came off drugs, and she got us all together again, and we moved from Oxford.
How many siblings you have?
So I got 3 siblings, 1 brother and 2 sisters, and we moved from Oxford all the way to Bristol. No one knew our past, so we kind of like brand new life to say. But yeah, so when that happened, I was good at pretending
Yes.
I was the popular kid and I was the kid that had a great past, but I couldn't convince myself. And that kind of like brought arrogance and insecurities to me that kind of I become really really sensitive to people's comments and judgments about me. But then when I turned 16, I made it professional, Bristol Rovers.
Okay.
Yes.
That's football.
Yeah.
Okay.
With football. And I was like, I've made it, this is it. And I got complacent. And then where I was so sensitive to people's judgments and criticism, anyone that would knock my ability to play football, it would affect me in such a big way. Like I had the ability to play, but it was a mental game for me. And then when I was 19, I got released.
What was that trigger?
I think the trigger was that like, I let everyone's negativity affect my gameplay, and just kind of like, why me? Why am I good enough to play? And then all that negative self-talk, it kind of disrupted kind of like my path of going down, of being a footballer, and it hindered me. And after I got released, that's when I fell through really bad depression.
You mentioned release, when you get released.
Yeah.
Released from what?
The release from the academy.
Okay.
Yeah, so you get offered, so you get a 2-year under the under 18s, and then at the end they decide if you get a professional contract.
Because funnily, you mentioned release from the academy, but I was thinking about release from that stronghold that was holding you back.
Okay.
In a sense.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I want to pick up on, you know. So what was that release factor that propelled you over to where you are now? Because, of course, you're going through, and even though you were with the Rovers, things were happening, but at the same time, you keep getting these kickback effects at the same time. So it is like you reached now where you wanted to be, but yet at the same time, something wasn't happening.
Yeah. It was because in my head, I hadn't, like, everything that happened to me in my past, it got all bottled up inside. I never went to criminality or done drugs. I just bottled it up inside because I had to become a parent, or I had to become someone that, a dad that I wanted to be to my children. So I had to bottle everything in. And then when I got released from Bristol Rovers, what happened was then everything just came out. Everything just came out and I hit rock bottom. And that's when I fell into depression.
Okay.
So I was in a place where I didn't want to live no more. And I couldn't leave my room, and I was having panic attacks, and I was in a place where I felt helpless, but my pride stopped me from reaching out to help because I cared. I didn't want to be patronized or to be treated differently.
Yes.
So with that, I kind of like, I had two options. When I went to the doctors and I told them my symptoms, they just openly handed me medication and was like, okay, take this and go to counselling. And witnessing my mum going on antidepressants, that wasn't a path I wanted to take. And the other one was just to find the root cause of this depression. So rather than just masking it, to pull it up from the roots and to erase it from my life.
So what was the key factor that sort of propelled you over from that depression?
Do you know, when I was at my lowest, I had an opportunity to go and work in America. And it came out of the blue. Literally, I had a phone call, and it was to coach children in America. And I just took it. I thought, you know what, this could be the key for me to get out of this depression. But when I was in America, I went onto YouTube and I typed in motivational videos. And this brother called Eric Thomas. And his video was, when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful. And I was like, you know what, I want to be successful, but I didn't want it that bad. And I started to research this brother. And his past was identical to my past, but yet he was so transparent. Showed the world his story. And I was like, this guy's mad or he's brave. And then it hit me. I realized, do you know what? I haven't got a criminal record. I don't do drugs, but yet I've been surrounded by drugs, criminality. If I wrote this in a book, this could inspire so many people that have gone through, who are going through what I went through. And that's what I did.
So therefore, what has happened then is that you actually bottled up a lot of the negatives and turn it into a positive, i.e. one, to be the good parent to the children that you're not had yet, but will have, and to be the good person. And now you're finding out, hang on a second, to be the good role model at the same time for persons who may be or will be going through certain things. Is that what you call, what should I say, is that supposed to be like the legacy that one is maybe seeking to leave behind?
Do you know what? I think the legacy that I want to leave behind is, one is to add value to people's lives. But two is just full of gratitude. Whereas before, I wasn't grateful. And I think that's when I fell in depression, where now I'm grateful. And I think for me, it's my kind of like personal message to God to say, do you know what? I'm grateful for this life, so I want my footprints to be counted for, and I want to help as many people to know their true worth.
Now, you mentioned Eric Thomas?
Eric Thomas, yes.
Now, should I assume that he's one of your role models? What other role models you have? I mean, have you met him? Have you met him?
I haven't met him, no.
Yeah.
No.
But the immediate one that is close
Yeah,
proximity.
do you know, I have two. Eric Thomas is one of them.
Yes.
Because what I like about Eric Thomas is that when he's speaking, you
Yeah.
can feel his emotion.
Yes.
So he talks from the heart and it hits you.
Yes.
Another role model is Tony Robbins.
Okay.
Yeah, Anthony Robbins. He dilutes everything for you so that you can understand it.
Yes.
And that was one thing that was holding me back, was my own mindset, was me.
Yes.
And from watching Tony Robbins' videos and seminars, I kind of realized, okay, the first sort of lesson I learned was that what you think determines how you feel.
Yes.
So I was like, that's why I was depressed, because when I was depressed, there's good and there's bad. And my dial was on all the bad things.
Yeah.
So all these bad things in my life I was focusing on, which would put me through depression. And Tony Robbins he just makes you realize that you're in control of your emotions by controlling your focus.
So therefore, what he's trying to say then is that you may feel depressed now.
Yeah.
Are you saying that you can choose not to be depressed?
100%.
Switch mode?
So basically, I wouldn't say switch mode.
Yeah.
So it's immersion.
Yes.
So therefore, it's like learning a new language.
Yes.
Once I realized how the mind was created,
Yes.
then what was conditioned in the mindset can be reconditioned in the mindset, but it's through repetition.
Yes. Yes.
So to hit the subconscious mind, it's through doing something over and over again until the subconscious mind says, do you know what? So when you don't have to think about doing this, we're going to do it for you.
Right.
And that's what I had to do. I had to become obsessed with my mindset, and then therefore to be in control, but to be consciously in control of my thoughts till the point where it becomes subconsciously it was controlling my thoughts.
Right.
Where regardless of whatever happened externally, I had the tools inside to deal with anything that came this way.
Now, so because of that now, that message is what you want to translate now to persons. How do you go about doing that now? What are the different tools that you use? You go to events or whatever?
Yeah. Do you know what? Social media for me is powerful. One thing that I've done, it's been 1,048 days today that I've posted on social media such as Facebook, Twitter, every single day. Because what I've realized is just repetition. And when I first started doing this, people were like, you're a preacher. Oh my God, this is not true. But now no one disagrees with what I say.
So it's very interesting you say it's repetition.
Yes.
So therefore it's the same message. Bombarded.
It's not the same message, but it's kind of on the same line.
On the same line. Yeah. So therefore, you have a connection of following. You got like 50,000 or so. Why do they gravitate to the message? I know you earlier said, but what else? Because there's so many people saying the same thing. Or, I shouldn't say the same thing, but many people are out there, motivational person, but at a young age of 26, am I right?
Yes.
Yeah. What is it that connects you? And are they only young persons?
Yeah, do you know, first, there's all walks of life, so literally people in their 60s to young people as well. But I think what connects a lot of people towards me is that I've lost the fear of being judged. So therefore, I tell you the good and I tell you the bad about myself. It's like I share everything about my life. And what that does, it kind of creates a bond with people. And they're saying, do you know, Warren's quite open. He's saying that he's been through depression and he's doing this. And I think it comes from a place where I'm not trying to get recognition. And I'm not doing it because I want it for myself. It comes from a giving place.
Prove You Exist.
Yes.
That's your program. Take me through Prove You Exist.
So Prove You Exist.
As a matter of fact, just speak to the audience, if anything, as to say, so we're now, walk us through what is the message behind Prove You Exist. We've got a 2-minute span.
Okay. So Prove You Exist is an event that I organised, which I wanted all walks of life to come. So black, white, Christian, Muslims, basically people to realise that, to develop their own identity. Because a lot of people associate their colour or their religion to who they are. And I believe once you realise that actually you're 1 in 7 billion and you take that in, you then become kind of like one of a kind and your value and your standards rise. So I wanted to bring people, that talented people like musicians, to showcase their talent, but to make it realize to the people that were watching or attending this event that they could do it too. Maybe if it's not the music route, but to be an entrepreneur, but there's something out there for you. And it's like a lot of people, it's like fish. Fish are great swimmers, but they can't climb trees.
Right.
So this event allows people to come to the event and to understand, one, how their mind works. Because I feel like a lot of people, they don't understand how their mind works. And if you don't understand how your mind works, then somebody else is controlling it.
Very interesting. A good question I want to ask you, and it is this. Do you think society has failed young persons in the sense of giving them a level of security? And I tell you why I say that. Because a lot of young people are now doing many things. You're a typical example. You're a coach, you're a mind coach, you're a guru, self-made entrepreneur, I would say. You're a motivational speaker. So therefore, you have your eggs in many packs. Or eggs in many what? What do you call it? Eggs in many basket. Normally, parents would normally say, get a 9-to-5 job and go to school and study. But it's like, that's not happening anymore. Do you think that society has failed young persons, or has it actually break them out of the box?
Do you know, I think society, it's allowed us to be open and to be sort of to, rather trying to impress our parents, we've been able to express and try new things. And I believe that, like, in the times that we live in now, they're great times because you can do multiple things and you can have different sources of income, and it allows you to just kind of experiment. Whereas before, I feel like a lot of people, they had one career, and regardless if they liked it or not, they just kind of stuck at that. Yes, they stick to it. But now we've got a lot of opportunity, and I believe that's a great thing for the young people.
But what about the security factor? The security factor was what was there years ago, where people go for years, working up to pension, and then they have their house, and then they give it to their children. Yeah. Is that security there anymore? Do you know what? I don't think the security thing can be necessarily a good thing. Yeah. I believe that without the security, it makes people kind of like, it's like a hungry lion. A hungry lion is going to chase that gazelle. Yeah. Like harder or faster. No matter what. Yeah, no matter what. And I believe that without the security, it makes us jump off the cliff rather than play safe. Right. So therefore, no, I find it interesting. It's something that I think about sometimes, you know, regarding our society is now, because, and even with the politics, you know, the elections in the air and all those sort of things. I mean, let's go into the election. I mean, what do you think about the young people shaping the future politically? What's your mindset about politics? We don't have to get into which party one. Do you know, I don't really sort of go into politics too much. I believe sometimes, like, I believe in like hidden agendas. I think a lot of politicians say one thing and they mean another. So for me, I don't know, I haven't really looked much into politics. I've kind of been so busy kind of doing my business, and like my attitude's kind of like, regardless of the court or whoever's watching, it's about my play. Right. So I kind of like don't use excuses. So are you saying then government is important, but you can operate within any government as long as you're doing what you're doing? Yeah, do you know, I think... Sorry, I'm pushing that. Yeah. So it's just like, like with the government, I just believe kind of, they're very much into kind of like just classes. Like if you bought from a certain area, this is this and this. And I don't think the opportunity they give you is much. They don't give you much opportunity. I believe that like if you're from a certain sort of social background, you can only achieve so much. So I like to kind of like, whoever rules the land is kind of like obey by their rules, but do as Romans do in Rome. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So break the rules, but not the law. Okay. Fantastic. Now, Warren, what is in the pipeline for yourself? Okay. So, you know, a lot of things are in the pipeline. There's a big gushing. There's so much stuff. Like one thing that I'm working on though is kind of like is finding a niche. Whereas before I've mentored a lot of people from all walks of life. I want to hit a niche market where people, and then with that, I can sort of get bigger. Let's delve into the youths a bit. For young people, what do you see as the key messages that young persons need to know and have in their system to break through? I believe that the young people, they should understand their true worth. And I think it's your lack of worth and the significance. I think
once you move the significance to them rather than the criminality or whatever they're chasing, the significance into you is a being of being unique.
Yes, yes.
That drives them to a place where not many people can get to. So I think it's about identity, letting them know their identity so they can flourish with purpose.
Yeah. You have won a few awards. Yes. Any key ones that you'd like to share?
Yeah, do you know, I won an award at the Back to Black at the BAFTAs.
Okay.
And this award was for my motivational speaking.
Right.
And people had to vote in to who won this award from people that kind of didn't get recognised for the work that they did.
Yeah.
And I think that one touched my heart the most.
Yeah.
Especially from people that have kind of not even met me in person,
Yeah.
but have took the time to vote for me. And I think it kind of put, because this was something 2 years ago, I said, I want to be a speaker, I want to do talks in schools and universities. And to be doing it now, and that kind of, the award that I got was kind of verification that I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Yes, that meant the most to me.
So tell me now, if you had a quote or a quotation, or maybe it's from someone, or as a matter of fact, if you have a quote, could you share that with us? Or if you even have a quote from someone which inspires you, what would you say?
I think the most powerful quote that I live by is, where you once come from doesn't have to be where you end up.
Okay, say that again.
Where you once come from doesn't have to be where you end up.
That's very powerful. Where you once come from doesn't have to be where you end up. That's in the right words.
Yes.
So therefore, it is that your destiny is not determined by your past.
Exactly.
Powerful stuff.
Definitely, yeah. That's something that's, I realize where I've come from, and I want to rebel against where I've come from to get to a place where, and I think with that quote just tells me that it's possible, and it will never be where I started.
So therefore, I think the central message and the ethos coming through is that the future is ripe, isn't it? Sometimes people say things are not looking good, but listening to yourself and watching the motivational speaking, watching the video and listening to you, it is like the future is ripe. There's so much things that are happening. It's up to you to make it happen. And the key thing is purpose. And when I listen to your quote again about the past and listening to your history there and where you're going, at the tender age of 26, and I say tender age of 26, even though I'm just 25, I'm just 1 year younger than yourself, you know what I'm saying? But that's very inspirational, Warren, and it's really good for you to come on the show. But before you go, I'd like to really ask you to sort of give something to the young people out there, especially, as a matter of fact, the people out there, something inspiring to propel them, to move them, to motivate them, to inspire them, and to educate.
Yeah, okay. So my words of wisdom, I got 6 principles that I talk about, and there's 6 principles that you got to work on and you got to master. And number 1 is to know your worth.
Yeah.
And once you know your worth, then your standards rise. Number 2 is to know your why. Why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you getting up in the morning? Once your why becomes so big, the obstacles in your way then become small. The next one is giving back.
Yes.
We need to give back because it's in our hearts and not because we want to return. And then losing the fear of being judged. So we're at any given point, you can express and be yourself. Yeah. Number 5 is gratitude, waking up with gratitude. Majority of people wake up, they turn the news on, and it's 80% negativity.
Yes.
And once you have a gratitude list and you're aware of all the things that you're grateful for, it's impossible to have a down day. And the 6 is your destination. Know exactly what you want in life and just keep that momentum, keep going forward and having that belief that you're going to get there.
Right.
So those 6 principles, know your worth, why, lose the fear of being judged, give back, gratitude, and your destination. Well,
ladies and gentlemen, after listening to that, I think we could actually break through, keep that momentum, keep going. And as remember at all times, it is not where you're coming from. This is what I got from this show today. It's not where you're coming from, but it is where you're going. And also where you're coming from doesn't determine where you go. At the same time, purpose is very crucial. You know, I want to thank you so much for listening to us today. And Warren, Brian, I was saying Warren one time.
Yeah,
I know which
everyone,
Warren
I'm used to it. Everyone says
Duran or something like that.
Warren. I still respond to both.
Listen, I want to thank you so much for coming into the show, and you know, keep us up to date with all that you're 100%. Doing. Definitely. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for joining SYLBOURNE on the SYLBOURNE Show. And of course, if you know someone who's inspiring, motivational, educational, and is required to sit on the red chair, please email us at info@sylbournesydial.com or go to our website, www.sylbourne.com. And also, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and spread it and share the word around. And as well, please, we look forward to seeing you again, and thank you so much for joining.